Welcome to the Wealth Exec. Let's reach your goal together. I'm Carrie Amaro. My goal is to create a platform where I can take my 15 years of experience as a controller and help people at a grander scale. I hope you're enjoying the 12 Business Days to New Year series, where my goal has been to provide a 3 to 5 minute podcast and free resources. Now, I've received questions from owners to business execs, sole proprietors, small business owners, mid-sized companies. So I've decided to make these podcasts to fit a broad audience. So it's usable for every level that you find yourself in. To get the most out of this podcast, feel free to send over questions and topics you want me to discuss in the next 9 days. If you've missed any of the podcasts, feel free to locate them in the social media outlet you are currently on. Feel free to download the resources available with those podcasts. To recap our last 3 days, day 1, we went over the year-end preparation checklists. Day 2, understanding financial statements and ratios. And day 3 is about preparing your budget, the first steps. Today's topic needs to be split into 2 days. It was a lot of information, and I felt it was more important that I allow you to absorb the first 3 topics. This weekend, grab a cup of coffee, print out the materials, and get to work. Let's get started. Budgets go beyond simply making the numbers fit, but work as a bridge to creating efficiencies, improvements, and enhancements to your organization as a whole, in addition to the quality of the product or service that you're offering. In fact, a budget is not only a simple numbers game, but a time to reflect on how you will get those numbers to come to life and stay where they need to land. But first, it's important to reflect on the past. What were your goals for the past year? And did you reach those goals? I need you to be honest as to the why. What are your goals for the new year? Whether it's to stay afloat or looking for a piece of equipment that's needed. Once you've had a moment to reflect back on this prior year, I want you to ask yourself, what are your goals for the new year? Whether it's just staying afloat in the midst of COVID or looking at ways to buy a piece of equipment that's needed for advancement of your company, or hiring the one more staff member, or maintaining those key employees. Simply jot those goals down. Once you have that one goal in place, let's look at your Q1 target. What specifically do you want to accomplish in the first quarter of the new year? Is it a rollout of a new product, improving collections and customer service, or improving shipping, receiving, or your strategic line, or starting a new lead relationship? Whatever it is, be specific. Now, everything that we've talked about, it seems to be pretty a conservative, a mindset. You want to make sure it's attainable. You want to make sure it's something that you can put your finger on and it's concrete. But I want us to next play a game. If everything worked out the way that you would want it to work out, what is the next level or stage you want to achieve in your business or organization? I told you this session was going to be a lot of information, but before you can talk numbers, you have to be in the right mindset. Yes, I said numbers. We're getting to that. The initial setup of your budget is taking a moment and reflecting back on the current year's income statement. It's possible to compare a few years, noting key changes from year to year and understanding the why. Remember, when you look at your income statement, it's a good time to reflect on what has happened in prior years. Are they nuances? This will allow you to determine its treatment in your current budget. Separate this assessment between revenue, COGS, indirect manufacturing costs, and general and administrative. The reason why is to hone in on different nuances that will possibly be occurring in these particular sections. Remember to run your P&L in as much detail as possible, noting the industry cyclical periods, which are the up and down cycles in your specific market. Once you've done this, we are ready to go through each line item of your profit and loss statement and try to gain an understanding of what impacted that particular line item and what you can do to either reduce that specific cost center or identify any necessary increases. It's also helpful at this point in time to place symbols next to each category. So for instance, if I'm looking at my cost of goods materials, or if I'm looking at my salaries account or my maintenance account, I can put stars, triangles, squares, dashes, smiley faces, sad faces, even a piece of turd. If I am so angry with that topic, whatever works for you. These initials designations will allow you to sit with your accountant to enhance the budget and projection process. This is also a good time. I want to step back. This is also a good time when you're looking at all these numbers, when you're doing these assessments, for you to know if you're going to need CapEx investments. Why? Because you've noticed that you're spending a lot on repair and maintenance. This is a good time to reflect on your insurance carriers because maybe they're charging you too much. Maybe you realize that you need to get an additional insurance policy. This is a good time to make notes on things that you want to address with your accountant. You can also look at taxes, loans, and even employee situations. Are you overstaffed in one department versus another? Do you have too many line workers? Whatever it is that you would want to assess, make notes of things you need to discuss with your controller, your tax accountant, your bank, your auditor. Now that you've reviewed your P&L, I want you to start brainstorming on departmental and team meetings you need to move to the next step. Document things that you want to bring up, the contact person you need to speak to, the project deadline you want to recommend. So for instance, let's say I'm working with my sales rep and I want to make sure they talk to one particular customer and I want to give them a deadline because I don't want to forget and I don't want them to forget. So I'm going to document the department as sales, my contact person as June, what I want to discuss with her, and that I'd like her to complete it by the end of January. This will be so helpful in our next steps, which we'll complete on day 4. I hope that you enjoyed this session. Please download the accompanying PDF with this podcast. You'll find a workbook to help you keep your thoughts in order and remember the items we've discussed. We are well over that 5-minute mark, but I just wanted to make sure that I made this as broad but concise as I possibly can. Day 3 was intended to reflect on the current year as it comes to an end, revisiting your goals, reviewing your P&L, identifying changes, starting to identify the people and discussions that you need to aim to have to get you in the right directions for your next step. So I hope that you enjoyed this session. See you on day 4. I hope you enjoy the remaining 9 business days of the new year. Let's reach your goals together. Till next time, be well.